It's Nolan. What's going on, y'all? It's the kid J Nolan here. Hey man, just go ahead and let y'all know up front if y'all hear anything in the background, it's because I've got some heat going on in this room. Y'all know how cold it is outside, so don't say nothing about buzzing in the background, all right? Now, let's get into this whole Megan Thee Stallion situation. As we all know, she put out the song Hiss last week. It's got the world in a frenzy. It's definitely got Nicki Minaj in a frenzy. We've talked about that at length. There's going to be a little bit more to add to the story when we talk about this. But as of right now, we got to get into this potential lawsuit that Megan is going to be facing for dropping a bar about Megan's Law in the record Hiss. Now, what's crazy is that bar is probably the most notable bar from the song, right? That was one of the most direct shots at Nicki Minaj and her husband, Kenneth Petty, basically saying, you hoes ain't mad at me, you hoes should be mad at Megan's Law. Basically saying, hey, why are you going to be mad at me when the law is prohibiting your husband from going out into public spaces where children are allowed? Your husband can't take your child to school, daycare, a park, Chuck E. Cheese, goddamn Dave and Buster's, nothing. So why are you mad at me when this man can't even go in the school zone? I think that was a very valid question, and unfortunately it seems like that line is backfiring. One of the first people that introduced this concept was Monique Slaughter. She was at least the first person I saw that was like, hey, Megan needs to be sued for this. I don't know what her personal objective is against Megan Thee Stallion, but she's the one that came out and said it. So she goes on and says, imagine your 7-year-old daughter is murdered by a neighbor. You fight for legislation to be passed. He's put on death row, but the death penalty was abolished in that state. So his sentence was commuted to life without parole. So now you have to live without your baby. You have to live in using that the killer is still alive and well. A law in your departed daughter's name and honor is passed. And now for the first time in over a decade, your daughter is trending. Your wound is reopened because a chick used it as a bar in a diss track, SMH. She says, if I were Megan Kansas' family, I would take every red cent from those single sales. I'd lawyer up and that video would be snatched from every platform. I'd sue for emotional damages and I'd demand that the bar be changed and I'd gag order the artist. Period. Right? So she put this idea out there on Twitter. A lot of people jumped in her mentions, came at her. She's allegedly been threatened. She's saying they doxed her. She's saying that she's receiving, really harmful, emotionally damaging messages for putting this concept out there. Someone else in her comment says, I'm no lawyer, but this will be tossed out. Be mad at Megan's Law. A graphic manner? White people reaching per usual. If that's the case, sue Nicki too, because she also mentioned it in her song in a more graphic way, which I seem to agree with, to be honest. Moniece comes back and responds to him. She says, y'all so ridiculous. It's called emotional damages and I said it yesterday. Now I'm screaming it today. I told y'all dummies. And even people like you, my so-called friends, trash me in the comments. So she's even getting heat from her friends. The heat has been turned on now because the father of Megan, Kanka, who is the namesake of Megan's Law, right? She was, like I said, essayed and at 7 years old. So her father, Richard Kanka, he's deciding that he's going to pursue legal action, or at least that's what he said to TMZ. I don't know how he spoke to TMZ. I'm pretty sure he didn't call TMZ. It seems that they probably reached out to him for comment and he didn't even know what the hell was going on. But they decided to prod further, probably told him the lyric. He was probably offended just by hearing it without any context or knowing anything about what's going on. So here we are. According to the TMZ article, it states this: Megan Thee Stallion's beef with Nicki Minaj has invoked a famous law aimed to protect people from sexual predators, and the father of the girl it's named after isn't happy about it. Richard Kanka, whose daughter Megan Kanka was murdered in the 90s by a predator who at the time wasn't legally required to identify himself in his neighborhood, and who Megan's Law is inspired by. They say he's fuming over Megan Thee Stallion casually dropping his daughter's name in Hiss, the diss track that kicked off this new feud between her and Nicki Minaj. He tells TMZ that dragging his late daughter's name into the expletive-riddled song aimed at Nicki is as disrespectful as it gets from his point of view. And he notes, Megan Thee Stallion actually appearing to shed light on the law, which she does not change his sour feeling. Kanka tells them that using his daughter's name in such a graphic, offensive manner was highly offensive to the pain his daughter and family felt. And while he says he hasn't heard the track with his own 2 ears just yet, he has read the lyrics. We're going to take a moment of silence for this shit. You ain't even listened to it yourself, but you feel some type of way. How does that work? After reading the lyrics, he says it's still a no-go for him. For the record, the lyrics in question are, as I just stated earlier, these hoes don't be mad at Megan. These hoes mad at Megan's law. Right? He does admit Megan's music, aka rap, isn't his cup of tea. So the only way he found out about it was one of his kids told him. He says that he still chose not to listen though, and instead read the Hiss lyrics to see what exactly was said about his daughter. Again, he still takes offense, even though some see Megan's use of it as positive, right? He also told TMZ that the song left such a bad taste in his mouth that he's actually considering looking into legal options to see if the track went too far. How could something leave a bad taste in your mouth when you haven't even pressed play? That's like hearing the name of a movie, hearing what the movie's about, and saying, I'm fucking disgusted. Well, did you see it? No. Well, what are you disgusted by? Can you name the part that disgusted you? They state further, unfortunately for Richard, there's probably not much he can do on that front. Artists have liberties when it comes to wordplay, referencing big moments historically, which is exactly what Megan did here. So even though he's mad, a threat of legal action feels empty. Not to mention, once again, Nicki Minaj also name dropped Megan's Law in her song. Again, in a much graphic way, she says, talking about Megan's Law, for a free beat, you can hit Megan raw. So if we're going to talk about it, then everybody would go down, right? So even if Nicki Minaj wanted to rejoice and call that a victory that she could potentially be sued, who's to say that they're not going to call into attention Bigfoot, right? And I'm quite sure if he heard Bigfoot, he would be even more offended, even more angry because of all of the nasty language, all of the nasty talking about people's dead mama, right? How about that? Let's see if Richard Kanka supports that usage of Megan's Law. At this time, an official lawsuit has not been filed, right? We don't know if he's actually going to pursue this. He says he's entertaining the idea, the thought. He's going to see if there's any legal recourse he can stand on. As of right now, we don't know who his legal team is or if anyone would even advise him to try to move forward with this. I do kind of want to empathize with the guy a little bit. I will be honest, because that's your daughter. That's your child. Nobody can tell you how to feel about your child. However, I would like to know, how do you feel about the law being named after her, right? Because from the time that she was assaulted and, murdered, every case that has something to do with this is now associated with your daughter. You would think that that would be something painful, right? Or do you associate that with justice? And if you do associate it with justice, then you would want to know the additional context behind this young lady's rap, wouldn't you? Because the aim was at a actual sexual offender who actually has to abide by Megan's Law in the home he lives in now, any home they move in the future, as long as they're living in America. So are you offended over Megan Thee Stallion when you should be offended over the actual target of the bar? I know he doesn't understand rap music, so he says he doesn't understand the intentionality behind this diss record. But I would think, what made her say that? I think this is going to get tossed out, unfortunately. I think it's going to get blocked with a Dikembe Mutombo finger wag, but that's just me. Let me know what you guys think of this down below in the comments, right? In other Megan Thee Stallion news, we've also got her former best friend, Kelsey, right? She's going viral right now, not for anything that she personally did, but because of the producer that's associated with her and her husband. He made a remix to Nicki Minaj's Bigfoot. As we all know, she released the acapella of the song so that producers could have their way with it. And it seems that Nicki Minaj liked it enough she's now pursuing to put his version, His name is XO, if I'm not mistaken. She wants to release his version of the remix on streaming platforms on Spotify. So now Megan's former friend, you know what I'm saying, and the team, Kelsey, her husband, this producer, they're now going to be associated with Nicki Minaj's Bigfoot diss record. Not only that, but if she puts him in on the royalties, they will be getting directly paid off of a Nicki Minaj diss due to how things work in music, right? So if there was any hope, any way to salvage that friendship in the future, I think that has been completely severed. Kelsey comes out with a statement. She says, "Stop hating. We working. Watch how this make mother effers tap into the city for real." Y'all are from Houston. Everybody's already tapped into the city. Y'all got enough artists that's popping. Y'all got your own ecosystem that y'all have had since the fucking 90s. People been tapped into Houston. I can see if you was from goddamn West Bumblefuck, right? She says, "I was grinding in the city before I got on that road. What was your grind? We would love to know. Those that been watching me since 2017 know. Yeah, give us a refresher. What were you doing in 2017? When I was on the road, were you an artist? When I was on the road, y'all shit was getting turned down every time I tried to make shit happen for y'all. Is this aimed at Megan Thee Stallion? Is she y'all? Or are you talking to another group of artists that you was trying to help? We would love to know. I had to find nice ways to tell y'all it ain't work out. I had to say certain things for the H-Town legends to even be acknowledged for real. So yeah, shout out to everyone that turned their back on me. Fuck y'all respectfully. Can't dim my mother effing light. This shit is in my blood and I don't owe anyone a mother effing thing. I'm creating a way for me and mine." So whatever the involvement is with this producer XO, Kelsey and her husband with Nicki Minaj, she's saying, "Stop hating. We working. We trying to make a way. We trying to get to this manyan. And y'all can't force me into stopping this from happening." Megan Thee Stallion is also aiming for her first top 10 solo debut on the Hot 100 Billboard charts with the song Hiss. So as of this week, it's set to go into the top 10, which will be the biggest solo song of her career. A song with no hook, a song with not your traditional club beat. I mean, it's an upbeat, but it's not a club beat. Just straight up scathing bars and a warning to anybody who dares oppose her. This is now the biggest song of her career. Ain't that some shit? Solo song anyway. Chart Data also released a stat saying that Megan Thee Stallion's Hiss has now sold over 100,000 units in the US. So even if it took for her to go against Nicki Minaj, we have to say the Nicki Minaj effect is real. People have listened to this song, tuned into her record as it is a Nicki Minaj diss, and decided to stream it so much that it sold an accumulative amount over 100,000. Megan's music was not hitting 100,000 before. As a matter of fact, artist singles don't be hitting 100,000 like that. Like if we just look at the landscape of hip hop, people are on the decline. So even though it's drama around it, even though some people in the world, you know, the Barbs or act like the song is whack, y'all paid attention to it as well. Barbs, y'all listened to that shit. Y'all probably bought it so that you could continue to run it back and run it back and run it back to dissect every lyric and try to figure out a way to debunk all of her claims, which it ain't that many. And to further my point on this, DJ Academics comes out and says that Barbs are the only proven fan base that purchases female rap music. She was on Station Head yesterday. I stayed tuned for a little bit because I had to actually do the video for y'all. But while I was just on there for a matter of 10 minutes, Nicki Minaj had like 1,000 people that bought the single just in the time that I was on there, which was maybe 10, 15 minutes. 1,000 niggas, like 1,200 people were, and on Station Head, it shows you as people are purchasing the record. 1,200 niggas bought that shit in real time. And I can only imagine how many more people bought it as she stayed on. So one thing you can never say about the Barbs is that they don't spend money, that they don't buy records, and that they don't support their favorite artists. So much so that I said the other day, I believe Nicki Minaj is transforming into a Trump-like figure. Some people didn't like when I said that. I was not talking about politics. I was talking about the polarizing effect that she has. The fact that she can say whatever she wants, no matter how heinous, disrespectful, disparaging, offensive, etc. If every person in the world decided, I'm not fucking with Nicki Minaj off of this ordeal, and all she had left was the barbs, whatever number that is, she would still remain in business. She would not be hurt even if the general public went against her, i.e. like a Trump. She is uncancelable, right? And she's showing it to you guys in real time with the success. Everybody that's just a general music fan has unanimously said that Bigfoot is a trash record. But because of her demographic and her fan base, she literally still feels like she dropped the hardest shit ever because of the monetary success and the Billboard and chart success that she's finding while putting out the worst music of her life.
King of my city and cul-de-sac, coming out swinging like soldier rags, leading my people like quarterback. Boy, I study this shit, I'm an almanac. Had to get up and grind, knowledge is booming, I'm here to apply. Came with the chip and the dip, it just single the mind. We finna do more than survive, I need my check. Spinning the block for the Gouda, we hitting the jeweler to flood out the net. We don't do beef on computers, I'm straight out the sewer, we come when you rest. Niggas be looking perplexed, so keeping my foot on their neck. No map, I trust my gut for the quest, but drama, I'm fully abreast. I was ready for years and they doubted me. All of a sudden they tell me they proud of me. I've been dropping these haters like calories. Cross them out, I came back with some boundaries. Stand for my honor, but too raw, no corner. Packing the stick with a drummer. When I catch my bad, won't fumble. I done came too far to be humble.